You've tagged Rajdeep? Oh, okay, right. Hi. Hi, good evening, viewers. Welcome to a terrific DailyO Live. We're here in conversation with Rajdeep Sardesai, veteran journalist and absolute election fanatic and expert. Rajdeep, we're here on a very exciting day. The 5 big assembly election results are almost entirely in. Give us your top takeaways from today.
My top takeaways from today clearly is, Srijana, that anti-incumbency is one of the inexorable laws of politics. It can strike you after 10 years, as in Mizoram. It can strike you after 15, as in the case of Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, and 5 years in the case of Rajasthan. The only exception to that rule today has been K. Chandrasekhar Rao, who's an interesting character because I believe no rules apply to regional satraps. They are able to defeat every otherwise so-called inexorable law of election politics. But I think anti-incumbency, which can be expressed as a certain dissatisfaction with governments or fatigue or just at times anger, has reflected in various ways in this election, except in Telangana, where I think K. Chandrasekhar Rao has very cleverly almost built himself as a Tina factor. There is no alternative to him.
Absolutely. But with anti-incumbency then, do you think basically the edge of the Modi wave, the so-called Modi wave, has now fallen off?
That's an interesting question. You know, I think what is clear today is that the Modi-Shah combine is no longer invincible. I think with the exception of the 2 results in 2015 in Bihar and Delhi, there was a general sense that Modi-Shah just are masters at election management. Shah was made the Chanakya of politics. Right. Modi is the Superman. Yeah. And, you know, that's how they were built up. And I think it created a fear and almost intimidated the opposition into believing that they were going to lose. I mean, defeatism can be contagious at times, and that's exactly what was happening with the opposition. That's gone today. I think today the opposition has, in some way at least, got back its sense of self-belief that you can defeat Modi and Shah. And I think that's, to that extent, I wouldn't say the wave has ebbed, but clearly this sort of this aura around Narendra Modi has certainly over time lessened. Okay. I think you can safely say that.
Okay. Okay, but just to sort of play devil's advocate here, it is being said that Rajasthan was pretty much thrown to the winds by the BJP's central high command, that they left Vasundhara Raje pretty much to her own devices, that they weren't going to be entirely heartbroken if she emerged as the loser in Rajasthan. What do you have to say about that?
Look, I think what is very clear is that you can make a disjunction between state and general elections. I think in the context of state elections, it is the state leaders who are always on test. So it was Vasundhara Raje in Rajasthan, it was Shivraj Singh Chauhan in Madhya Pradesh, and it was Raman Singh in the case of Chhattisgarh, KCR in Telangana, so and even Laltan Hawla in Mizoram. So I think it is state leaders who are ultimately at test. To that extent, Mr. Modi did what perhaps many leaders have done in the past, left it to the state leaders to really work it out for themselves. What is clear, though, is that in the past, having said that, Mr. Modi has enabled the BJP to punch above its weight. A good example was Tripura earlier this year. But in most of those cases, the BJP was not the incumbent government. They were in the opposition. It's easier to galvanize yourself when you're in the opposition. When you're in the government, then you are, as Vasundhara was, the target of public anger and or dissatisfaction or fatigue. And even Mr. Modi couldn't really lift Vasundhara Raje beyond a point, which is why I think towards the end of the campaign, he wasn't even mentioning her name. Absolutely. It was much more about what the centre has done. And, you know, that shows the limits in a way of the so-called Modi factor. That if your state leader is not perceived as effective enough or not a popular leader, then howsoever much you may try, there are limits to your ability to get your party to punch above its weight.
Okay, but just talking about the Modi factor again, it has also been noticed in Rajasthan that there was this slogan saying Modi tujhse bair nahi, Vasundhara Omar aur Rani teri khair nahi. Given that 2019 is just about 4 months away now, don't you think that the enduring popularity of Modi is still something that is going to be a tremendous factor in deciding the next government of India, the next Prime Minister of India?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's no doubt that elections in India are increasingly presidential, especially at the center. But look, there's no one-size-fits-all theory. While Mr. Modi will be a much bigger factor come 2019, don't also forget Modi will be the incumbent in 2019, where he was a challenger in 2014. As a challenger, you can always target the government of the day and get the benefit of the anti-incumbency vote. Now Mr. Modi will face the challenge because the opposition will simply harp on a sort of negative campaign in a way against Mr. Modi, whether it's on demonetization, whether it's on GST, whether it's on the state of the economy, and start asking the tough questions perhaps of Mr. Modi that he would ask 5 years ago of Manmohan Singh. So while Mr. Modi is a factor, it's a double-edged sword. He carries the charisma and the communication skills to make the election presidential and about himself, but it also gives the opposition in a strange sort of way an opportunity to nibble at and chip at Modi's larger-than-life image.
Okay, let's talk about the challenger. Rahul Gandhi is leading the Congress. He today also completes 1 year as Congress president. Evaluate his track record so far. Evaluate his performance in these assembly elections. His chances for the next big one.
Look, whichever way you look at it, this is his best day in Indian politics that he's had. He came into politics, 2004. 14 years later, you can say today in a sense that Rahul Gandhi has clearly arrived as a neta, because one thing that followers look for is a neta who can win you elections. That's how you earn their respect. Whatever else you can do, followers will trust you, will follow you only up to a point. They want, at the end of the day, particularly a party like the Congress, which is inured to the power game, wants power. For the longest time, Rahul Gandhi was seen as a loser, as someone who just couldn't lift the Congress out of the ICU that it finds itself, at the morass that it finds itself in. But I think today he's shown that perhaps even in a direct fight like Chhattisgarh, there may be local factors, but you can't deny Rahul Gandhi today. He's proven himself that he is a campaigner who can win an election. It doesn't necessarily mean that he can take on Modi in 2019. The factors will again be very different. I still believe that Rahul Gandhi is work in progress. He still makes mistakes. But at least now you have a relatively competitive political environment. And to that extent, Rahul, good luck to Rahul Gandhi. I think he's shown that if you stay the course, for all the ridicule that's there, he's been laughed at. As they, Gandhi would say, first they laugh at you, then they ridicule you, eventually you win. Then they ignore you and then you win. Perhaps today Rahul Gandhi could turn around and say, look, today at least I've won. I think it will be difficult for the BJP to constantly harp on Rahul Gandhi being this Pappu-like figure, because I think the moment you do that, you in a way move the agenda away from what people want it to be, which is the real issues of the time. I heard Modi in Sikar, which has been acutely hit by farm distress, talking about Christian Michel, Razdar, Kamdar, Namdar. That's not what people want to hear. They want to know, what are you going to do to help me alleviate agrarian distress? What are you going to do about jobs? And I think Rahul Gandhi, because he's an opposition leader, has been able to raise these issues. And Mr. Modi, rather than combating them, has allowed the goalposts to be shifted by focusing far too much on Rahul Gandhi's personal character.
But of course, we must also note that Rahul Gandhi did use the Shiv Bhakt card. So there was also the tag of using the sort of soft in the Rajdeep. You have to talk about.
Sure. No, look. Let's be honest. I don't think that's what's taken the Congress to victory today. The fact that Rahul Gandhi sort of played this temple run and look. Eventually, this election has been won on what? In Chhattisgarh, the Congress promised an MSP on paddy, raising the MSP on paddy, and a loan waiver within 10 days of coming to office. They promised in Madhya Pradesh again that they would ensure that farmers' needs are met, and they would work towards providing the jobs that people in Madhya Pradesh so desperately need. In Rajasthan, they've been making again all kinds of promises, unemployment allowance, again MSP, again reaching out to farmers. Those are the issues that win you elections. Whether you go be a Shiv Bhakt or a Hanuman Bhakt, it's good for television studios. I don't think that decides Indian elections. They certainly didn't decide the state election. And I think the Congress would be better advised, like the BJP. The BJP should get off this Mandir bandwagon. It doesn't win them elections. And the Congress should sort of stop worrying about, am I Hindu enough? And simply, if I was in their place, focus on the real issues of the time. Yeah. Jobs. Agrarian distress.
Absolutely. Last question, and then we'll let you go in the middle of an hectic day for you, Rajdeep. So now what will Rahul Gandhi do between Jyotiraditya Scindia and Kamal Nath on the one hand, Ashok Gehlot, Sachin Pilot on the other? Kaun banega agla Mukhyamantri?
Good question, because I think that will set, in a sense, the tone for what kind of Congress is Rahul Gandhi going to build even in victory. Are you going to effect the generational change, or are you going to play safe for now, at least till the general elections? My sense is that because of the margin of victory in Rajasthan not being overwhelming, I guess Ashok Gehlot's experience, his ability to have friends in all places might be to his advantage. I would personally like to see Sachin Pilot become Chief Minister, if only because it suggests a generational change. And we all talk about how India is a younger country, and then we keep going back to the old guard. I'd like to see what he does in Chhattisgarh, where I think he will play the OBC card. They've really worked out, with some leaders like Bhupesh Baghel, who've given the party energy there. And in Madhya Pradesh, it's back to the Doon days. Kamal Nath, I can't see beyond him, given the Congress just squeaking home at best in Madhya Pradesh. He's also put a lot of effort in it. So, but at the end of the day, I think the bigger story, Srijana, is that this morning the Congress was in power in 2 3/4 states of this country. They've lost Mizoram but gained 3. So effectively they are in power now at the end of the day in 4 3/4 of this country. Now, at least that gives them a toehold. As I said, they are back in the fight. They're relevant. They could become a catalyst for potential alliances of the opposition. Whether that's enough to win 2019, I don't know. I think that's going to be a very different election, fought on an entirely different terrain.
But at any rate, it's great to see our democracy at work, absolutely healthy, vigorous, and really with the people's choice expressed with full freedom.
Yes, it is. But, my only fear is, will that last man standing, who's desperate for a job, who's been hit by demonetization, who gets 1 rupee a kg when the prices of garlic, fall in the market, is anything going to change for him or her? And that is, we keep talking about democracy. Democracy has to be more than just elections and who wins and who loses. Democracy, to be more meaningful, I think, has to go beyond just elections. And that I fear won't happen. That's my biggest fear, that our politicians are running out of options to actually address the real needs of our people, whoever is in power, Congress, BJP or TRS.
Dark prognostication, but we will talk about that another day.
Yes.
Today is a day when we're all celebrating democracy. Rajdeep Sardesai, such a delight to be in conversation with you.
Pleasure, my pleasure.
And we look forward to having you writing in DailyO very soon on these elections and on lots more.
I promise to write tomorrow itself while it's all fresh in my mind.
Wonderful. So readers, you know where to come to find Rajdeep's words tomorrow. Meanwhile, we will be back with lots more for you at DailyO. Keep watching.